everybody, and welcome to another fantastic week of the Celebrity Creator Show. Brian, how are you tonight?
I am feeling extremely empowered tonight. How are you doing, Kathy?
Good one. I love it. I am as well. I'll tell you what, we were just talking before we got on the show about how February feels like we're not sure what day it is and what week it is. And our guest was talking about how magical February is. So we're excited to bring her on with us tonight. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce her. She is known as the Queen of Inner Clarity and the Empowered Messenger Mastery Mentor. Amethyst Wyldfyre is a multi-dimensional visionary who is passionate about serving and leading transformational coaches, trainers, speakers, performers, artists, and alternative healers who want to feel safe, powerful, and ready to leap fearlessly into their highest level of service, and who want to profit handsomely from following their spiritual path. Her client roster includes New York Times bestselling authors, Hay House radio show hosts, transformational trainers like the Queen of Sales Conversions, Lisa Sasevich, Marcia Bench, the founder of Purposeful Entrepreneur, and Lisa Cheney, the Juicy Marketing Specialist, and many, many other leading visionary change agents. She's traveled all over the United States speaking and teaching, and has been interviewed by the Boston Globe and many other major national newspapers, and has appeared on both radio and TV multiple times. She developed an international following on the internet for her own radio show, Blazing Forth the Light, and has created a wide variety of multimedia products to serve messengers of personal and professional planetary growth and evolution. Brian and I are so excited, and we would like to welcome back, this time on our own, Amethyst Wyldfyre. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's so happy to be here with both of you. And yes, it is a magical month. February is very magical. It's my birthday month. And it's also, of course, Valentine's month. And it's just, when spring starts to feel like it's on the way. So I love February. And it's short. It's really short. Time flies in February. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here, to be with both of you again. I love what you do, and I love how you are providing such a fabulous platform for messengers. So thanks again for your work in the world and for inviting me to be with you.
Well, thank you so much. As you folks can see on the title of this page, if you're on celebritycreators.com, and if you're not and you're watching on another live platform, then shoot on over to celebritycreators.com, because there's a lot more juicy goodies over there. You can chat with us interactively, ask Amethyst questions. But as you can see on celebritycreators.com, the title of the show tonight is Prepare to be Heard by Millions, 3 Secret Steps to Feeling Safe, Powerful, and Ready to be an Empowered Messenger. So Amethyst, I would like to start off with perhaps asking you a question. Can you define what you mean by the term messenger and describe some of the challenges and experiences that you've seen on the journey, both personally and through your clients?
Sure. So I want to just give you a little background about myself. Up until about a decade ago, I was actually a real estate developer. And at that time, I was also the national chairperson for my trade association. I was traveling all over the country. I was speaking at local chapters. I was, working with the federal government to work on legislation that was affecting 1 in 8 homeowners. I worked for U.S. Agency for International Development, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the World Bank, and all of a sudden had a spiritual awakening. And in my spiritual awakening process, I realized that I couldn't be doing what I was doing anymore, and I went through about a decade, it's been about a decade now, of personal and inner transformation and healing that brought into being, into my awareness, a number of gifts and talents that I didn't know that I had, and also activated within me the quote-unquote messenger. And so when I talk about messenger, what I mean when I'm talking about a messenger is somebody who has been awakened in some way or inspired in some way to bring through a message of change for the world. And whether that message of change is a message to change a specific segment or industry or field in the world, like education, healthcare, legal, government, the law, whether it's that kind of a messenger or whether it's a more broad or general message to raise the level of consciousness of people across the planet, those are the people who I'm referring to when I'm talking about messengers. Messengers are people who have something to say. Either they're going to end up becoming a speaker or an author or a voice for change in their organization or in their field of expertise. And sometimes they're being called into other fields of expertise like I was. And so to answer the question of the, kind of some of the pitfalls that are on the path, or just maybe give people some milestones on the path, we actually have a set of questions that my partner and I have a business partner who's also a messenger, that we've developed that allowed us to kind of be able to connect with the messengers that we're here to serve and give them a map for themselves. So I have my little question sheet over here. So the first step in this path of the messenger is this awakening. And it's like, I have a message? Question mark? I have a message, right? And so there's a lot of questioning that's going on. Really? I have a message? One of our clients is somebody that we worked with about a year and a half ago who was called. She was a photographer. She and her husband had a photography business, and she was called, she was awakened to bring the experience of death back home, so that people who are facing death, who are with loved ones who are facing death, that death could be back in the home again, could be normalized again. And when that awakening, that inspiration came through for her, she and I happened to meet just like right after she had the awakening experience. And I was like, absolutely, that's what you're here to do. So I was there to affirm her. And her response was, oh, this is huge. This is way too big for me. And through our work together, she was able to clear the fears that she had about being worthy of bringing the message out into the world, of being capable of being the right conduit for this message. And as a result of working with us through, at the time we were running a group coaching program to help people that were messengers, she wrote her first book called The Soul Sitters, and she created an amazing site called The Soul Sitters, which I'd love to have people go check out, thesoulsitters.com. If you're experiencing, chronic illness that's leading to a death situation in your family, or you have just, helped somebody to pass, it's just a powerful site. And so for me, it's really important to affirm and to support people who have these powerful messages, because they're here to support other people. So many other people in the world are going to be benefited by Stacy, getting over her own inner demons that said she couldn't do it.
And I think that there's...
Go ahead.
It seems like there's a lot of people out there, maybe they don't realize specifically what their gift is, but I get the sense that there's a lot of folks that are not quite sure of the gifts that they have and how they should be used, and have a bit of fear of putting themselves out there and utilizing what they've been given.
Absolutely. So, one of the next steps on the path is, I have a message, question mark, and then, okay, I have a message, and then what is it, right? So getting that clarity on the message is a huge piece of the journey. There are people who know at some level, and this was part of my own journey, I knew at some level that what I was doing in my life, I wasn't contributing the way I knew I needed to. And there is a period kind of before the awakening, I think, and sometimes right after the awakening, of questioning, like, why am I here? Isn't there more to life than this, whatever this is that they're doing? It's just, I think, a natural part of the soul's evolution to have an awakening or calling at some point in your life path that invites you to be bigger than you had thought that you were going to be. And so when we travel into our soul's destiny, that is the place where we are able to get the clarity on what that message is that we're here to bring through to the world. And when we make that awareness come to the surface, when we are able to do that clarification, then the next step is often helping people to find their voice. And a lot of folks that I've worked with, and I'm sure that the two of you have had experiences with as well, there are people who do have a message, who want to get it out to the world, but then they have this challenge with speaking their truth and feeling safe and comfortable in front of the camera, or feeling safe and comfortable on the stage, or even feeling safe and comfortable talking to their family about it. I had a potential client on the phone the other day, and she was like, I haven't even talked to my family about what I'm doing, because there's a fear that lives in them that they either won't be taken seriously, or that people will ostracize, persecute, prosecute, and even maybe execute them for having this message. In our culture, we have a mythic cultural archetypal pattern around messengers and messaging that, if you're a messenger, you might get shot, right? Don't shoot the messenger is a colloquialism that we use. Mm-hmm. And one of the most powerful messengers of the last 2,000 years was crucified. So just, thinking about stepping into being a messenger for a lot of people can bring up their own fears, but also trigger these larger cultural archetypal fears that we're here, my partner and I are here to help people replace that fear with love and passion and joy and the thrill of touching people and sharing messages that are here to change the world.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I want to ask you, we have talked previously, and you were calling yourself an energy shifting expert. Is that, mm-hmm. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. So are you still bringing that type of work to your clients? And
absolutely.
What benefits? You're going to have to kind of enlighten us a little bit here, because we're not quite sure what that is. But do know that you do some of that type of work, and particularly with people that are considered or being called messengers.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So on my own journey, I became a healer. That was the first step in my journey. I became a crystal healer. Then I became initiated as a shamaness in the Inca tradition. And a shaman or shamaness, crystal healers, energy healers, we work with the spirit body. So we believe in the tradition that I have been trained in, that there are 4 bodies. There's the physical body, there's the emotional body, there's the mental body, and then there's the spirit body. And when we work with energy, when we work with the energetic field, the electromagnetic field, to make shifts, it trickles down like a domino effect into every one of the other bodies. So if you've done the work at the physical level, let's say you've, I'll use a health thing for an example. Let's say you've done the dieting and you're doing the exercising and you're doing all the things that you are supposed to be doing physically to lose weight. And that doesn't seem to be working. And then you go do the emotional work, and the emotional work shifts things up, and you might start to lose weight, but you're still stuck with this, extra 15 pounds. And then you go to the mindset level, and it's like, okay, so what I'm thinking is creating my emotions, which is creating my physical experience. You cannot solve the problem at the level that it was created. That's what Einstein said. When we go to the spirit level or the energetic level, the electromagnetic field, that is the place where we have the highest degree of leverage. So when we're working in the energy field, we're working with 99% consciousness and 1% matter. And we have the highest amount of leverage at that level. So that's why when I work with folks, when I bring them into the work, not only do I bring my years of experience as an entrepreneur, I've been an award-winning entrepreneur for years, but I also bring my experience as a healer to get directly to the core of what is holding these people back. I've been myself in many, many, many mastermind organizations and groups and trainings, and I've watched people see the step-by-step. Okay, so here's the step-by-step to get clients, or here's the step-by-step to learn how to speak, or here's the step-by-step to get your marketing stuff together, or all of those, you know, wonderful programs that teachers are presenting out there. And I watch these people go into these programs, get all the material, and then they don't go anywhere. And the reason they don't go anywhere is because the inner world is not prepared to be exposed. And that's where we do our work. Primarily, we work with messengers, helping them build the inner foundations that will allow them to prepare to be heard by millions.
Oh, maybe you could expand on that a little bit. You know, why are some people actually talking about being a messenger and having this message, but they aren't exactly walking that talk and moving forward as you put on their core path of service? I mean, you kind of touched on it already with the fact that they just didn't go forward. They got the material, but they stopped. But what's really hindering them from breaking through and getting through to that core path of service?
Yeah, well, so there's two-part answer here to that, Brian, and it goes back to this path of the messenger. There's really a map that we have seen where people will realize they're a messenger, they'll get excited about it. On the one hand, they may be coming up against fears of being seen, being heard, being able to clearly express themselves, having that clarity. A lot of times what happens for messengers is they start to get downloads from spirit that are really full of energy, and there's a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, and they get these big, brilliant ideas, and then they burn out. They get overwhelmed. They get scattered. They have too many ideas. They're all over the place. They've got a book project, and they've got a coaching program project, and they've got a list building project, and they've got, you know, so many projects all over the place that their energy is scattered, and they're not able to manifest because they're ungrounded and they're not really connected with the step-by-step physical pieces that need to happen. So that's one way that people get stuck. Another way that people get stuck is they get to this place where, okay, I have a message. What is it? Then who wants it, right? So that's the next question. Who wants it? Who are my clients? Who are the people who are going to want my work? And then we get to, how do I get it out there into the world? And this is where we become more than an evangelist. We become we are called now into entrepreneurship, because there aren't a whole lot of job openings out there for messenger, right? So the next phase of the journey is really stepping into entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship, to me, I love the part that has the ship at the end there. To me, in entrepreneurship, it's the vessel, it's the ship that carries our message out into the world. So they run into challenges with entrepreneurship because, for one, they may not know what they don't know. They may not have any blueprint or map or experience. And so then they are running around with shiny object syndrome, going to the list building event and the marketing event and the sales event and the all of these wonderful events and trainers and teachers, but they don't have this bigger picture that says what a divine business that is going to be carrying a message out into the world needs to look like. So I have a little gift that's separate from the gifts that I told you guys about earlier, that I'd love to share with the community. We've identified the 5 pillars of entrepreneurship, and we have an acronym that we use. It's SCORE. Score is when you write the score for a piece of music or symphony or whatever, you're writing the score. So we used the acronym SCORE because it worked really well, and it helps people to understand that when they step into entrepreneurship, they have to write their own score. So we'd love to have you visit the empoweredmessenger.com/handout. My business partner has put together a handout that far exceeds any handout I've ever seen before. I said, we need a handout, and I was expecting 1 page, and we have a 10-page handout there.
Wow.
Anyway, in that we talk about the 5 pillars of entrepreneurship, which are, S is for strategy. So you have to have an overarching strategy for your messenger business. C is communication, and this is not just the communication of your message, but it's also the communication of your marketing message, which your marketing message is a different message than your message,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Kathy
understands what I'm saying there.
It does.
O stands for organization. Your business needs to be organized in a certain way. There's many, many different business models. There are product launchers, there are event people, there are different ways that you can get your message out into the world. You could be an author, a book writer. So O is for organization. How am I going to organize my business? But it's also about how am I going to organize my time? How am I going to organize my staff? All of those things. R is revenue generation. And of course, if you're not generating revenue, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And hobbyists are just not going to make that impact in the world with their message that somebody will when they own their own business. And then the E stands for execution. So those 5 letters are the blueprint for building your divine business so that your message can get out into the world. It's through that ship that your message gets carried out into the world.
I'll tell you what, I saw Brian shaking his head while you were going through that, just like I was. That's brilliant and touches on every aspect that that any entrepreneur needs to have in place, and something certainly that you could look at every day just to kind of get you set in your path and along the way. And you know, it's very interesting you were saying that, you know, if you're not generating income, that much of what we're doing, if we're not doing that, can be considered a hobby. But there's also a growing phase as well. So I think that it's really important, like you and your partner have put together a strategic blueprint such as this, so that it gives you something to follow along so that you can move into income generation. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, and you know, I'm here to serve and to empower messengers, and so it would be a disservice for me not to talk about the business aspects. My primary work with messengers right now is working on the inner piece, but I can't help but bring my experience as an entrepreneur to the table as well, and it would be a disservice not to share that bigger picture, because in order to be empowered, you need to know what the roadmap is going to look like. And there are people out there, I know there are people out there, you know, this is for you as a messenger. If you know that you are supposed to be connecting with millions of people, you know, hundreds of thousands of people. For years, I knew I was going to be on TV. Here I am on TV. Thought it was going to be Oprah, but it's Brian and Kathy. And, you know, there are people out there at every phase of this messenger journey. And our work is really designed to address people at different levels of the messenger journey. And that's one of the reasons why we have a product that we created called Feel Safe Speaking. That's for the people who realize they're messengers and they're just like in the, oh my God, I can't do this, you know, space, because they're feeling this fear around getting out there and speaking publicly. And we're about to launch in the late spring, early summer, another product called Feel Safe and Powerful Asking for Money. Because once you step into this entrepreneurship piece, you need to be able to message out not only your message, but also you need to message out in a way that allows people to invest in themselves through you. And you have to be able to feel comfortable asking people in either one-on-one conversations or in presentations. You have to be able to feel comfortable and powerful and fearless and courageous and strong and clear asking people for money. So these are, just smaller pieces of the path of being a messenger. And I know that as people move into the higher levels, I happen to have one of my clients is Lisa Sasevich, and I did some work with her a couple of years ago, and she said that helping her to step in more fully into her power was the key to being able to double her 7-figure business. So she doubled her 7-figure business. And at every level of growth, you're going to run into that next level of inner resistance to taking that step into that next level. And so we're here to help empowered messengers at all ends of the spectrum.
Well, we Brian and I understand that there are 3 secret steps that you use that help messengers shift from being scared and recognizing that the message that they have to share is sacred. Do you want to share those with us?
Sure. Yeah, and these are actually they're the foundational steps that we use to work with all of our messengers, and they're actually embedded into all of our products as well. So the 3 sacred steps are, I use the acronym, it's not really an acronym, but the 3 letters that I use to talk about the 3 sacred steps are GBS. So at the meta level, GBS stands for guided by spirit, which has been what my life has been since I stepped into being a messenger, because these messages come from source. When we are inspired, inspire means in spirit. We're breathing in, we are receiving from spirit these ideas, these visions, these messages, these creations, whatever they are. And so if spirit gives us the message, spirit will also give us all the resources that are necessary in order to manifest that message into the world, as long as we maintain that conscious connection. So one of the ways that we serve our messengers is with these 3 secret steps, these 3 sacred steps. And the 3 steps are GBS: ground, bound, and sound. So what the G in ground stands for is really crystallizing into form your message. And we practice being in the physical by paying attention to our own physical. So grounding is all about, or connecting to the earth, is all about taking this big high energy inspiration and bringing it in through our physical bodies into the earth, connecting with the resources of the material world. It's the resources of the material world that we use to crystallize our message and get it out into the world. Even though this seems very ethereal, what we are doing right now, we're doing it using material things. I've got a computer here, you've got a computer there. So it's vital that we have that connection to the material world, and that's what the ground piece is all about. We have to be in our bodies. One of my clients was a New York Times best-selling author. She had a 6-figure business, and when I first met her, I could see she was like in her body up to here, like her spirit was in her body up to about here. And after we did a few pieces of work together, I was able to help her bring her entire spirit into her physical body. And as a result of that, she was able to make a heart-to-heart connection with the people instead of being a talking head, right? I'm sure you've seen the people on stages. I'm sure you've seen them on shows where all they're doing is they're talking. They're just a talking head. They're not in their own physical body. And that is something that prevents them from making that deep, intimate, heart-to-heart connection with the people they're here to serve. And the people in the audience can feel that. And, certainly this woman made a lot of money because she was a best-selling author and because she really was good at what she did. But there came a point in her life where she said, I'm just not serving the people I'm here to serve. And I so want to do that. There was an ache in her because she so wanted to serve the people she was here to serve. And after I helped her with the ground piece, getting her into her physical body and grounding and connecting to her heart and connecting her spirit to her physical body, she was able to actually increase her revenues in her business by 300%.
Wow.
And began to really serve at a significantly higher level than she had been serving before, and much more joyfully, because she was present in her body. So ground is step one, the secret step one. Bound is the secret step two. And bound is all about making sure that you have integrity, that you have set boundaries for yourself that say, this is what I want, and this is what I am not interested in having in my life, in my world, in my business. Bound is also about setting the stage. If you're a messenger, you're going to be speaking, you're going to be on stages, you're going to be on TV shows, you're going to be on the radio, you're going to be needing to create a sacred container for the people who are there to listen to what it is that you have to say. And so the bound piece is all about learning how to create that sacred container that says, within this space, this is what we believe, this is what we value, this is what we aspire to, this is where our message is contained. And the entrepreneurship is another container for our message. So the bound piece is really about learning how to make those containers, whether it's at an event where you're creating the sacred space for people to come in and listen to your presentation, or whether it's through your entrepreneurship. We need to have a framework, boundaries around which we are collecting or within which we are collecting our energy, so that we can then powerfully share it with the world. If we don't have appropriate bound space, then again, we have that scattered experience where people are all over the place, right? They're all over the place, and they're never really doing what they're here to do. They seem to be doing a lot because they're really busy, but they're not really accomplishing anything, right?
Yeah.
So the third secret step is sound. And when I use the word sound, I use it in a multi-dimensional way. When you're a messenger, you're going to be expressing yourself. So sound for me is any kind of expression that wants to come through you. And when we have these inspirations, we are being asked to create something within us and then bring it out into the world. So we use sound as one way that we bring it out into the world when we are speaking. But it's not just the words that we are sending out. It's actually our vibration. When we sound, we are sending out a vibration. We're sending out a message that is below the surface of the words that we're using. And so it's really important to have that sound, that expression, be pure and clear and unfettered and fearless and full, to have a full expression. So sound can be a piece of art. It can be a CD. I have an award-winning CD that I consider a sound that I made. It can be a product. It can be a program. It can be a service. It can be a TV show. Whatever that expression is, in order for us to be fully present as messengers, we have to express. We must express our message. So those are the three secret steps. Thanks for asking.
Yes.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing.
Phenomenal. And I love the rhyming part of it. It makes it easier to remember for us simple folk, you know. Ground-bound sound.
Exactly. I tried to make it so it was simple. Simple is good. Simple is good.
Amethyst, what are some causes you'd say of overwhelm that a messenger might experience? And can you give us, say, some solid examples of how this shows up in real life and how it can impact not only the message getting out, but the messenger being supported financially and otherwise?
So causes of overwhelm, right? You know, our life, the world that we live in, is filled with a multitude of distractions. Before you know it, there's another new thing out there. There's another new thing out there. Now the latest new thing is Pinterest. I'm sure you guys are already on Pinterest, right? Social media queen that you are, right, Kathy? You must be on Pinterest. Anyway, we often have distractions. So to go back to the middle secret step, bound, it's really up to us as sentient, conscious beings of choice to make clear decisions about how we're going to spend our life force energy. We all get 24 hours. That's an even playing field across the board around the world. Every one of us receives the same 24 hours every day. What can happen for a messenger, as I was alluding to earlier, is they can get into this place where they're so passionate about their message and they so want to get their message out into the world that they're just evangelizing everywhere, but they're not really making an impact because they haven't chosen to focus and concentrate their power and create a vehicle through which that message can come out into the world in the most powerful and potent of ways. And when we allow ourselves to become spiritually intoxicated, we will often tap into the collective mind and be receiving all kinds of fabulous ideas. And those are great. It's great to have fabulous ideas, but if you're not bringing them into existence, then all you're doing really is ceiling surfing. We call that ceiling surfing. So it's really about being a chooser and getting deeply connected and grounding into your own heart's desires, because we actually all have the capacity to access the cosmic mind. When we open up our crown, we all can access the cosmic mind. And that's why somebody will have an idea on one side of the world and the other side of the world, and it's the exact same idea. They both had the same exact idea because the ideas all come from the cosmic mind. So there's an invitation to dance with spirit and to honor your own heart's wisdom and not feel like that you have to do it like everybody else is doing it. And I think that's one of the biggest distractions that messengers have. They see so-and-so doing this thing and they want to go after that. And then they see another person doing this and they want to go after that. And they're so outwardly focused that they lose that inner connection that is the navigational guide that will put them on their true path of service. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That answered the question.
Yes, and I have to say something here before I ask you something that Brian and I are both very interested in. You have got on a fabulous, fabulous pair of peacock earrings tonight, and they tie in, oddly enough, with your Empowered Messenger brand. Brian, do you want to share with everybody how they can connect with her?
Absolutely. For those of you watching on celebritycreators.com, you'll see the gorgeous Amethyst in a striking pose somewhere near us. She's not moving in that pose as opposed to the striking one she's
down
giving
here,
you now.
I think.
But after the show, find her nose on that picture and click right on it. Click on her nose, and that will take you to her Facebook page where you can connect with her on a more personal level. In addition to that, you'll see beneath that is a banner that is all about her website and what she's been talking about tonight. The Empowered Messenger, prepare to be heard by millions. Click on that. Not now. After the show's over. Don't be rude and leave us just yet. And she has a contact form over there you can fill out and get more information about the types of services that she and her partner provide. So definitely do that. Don't forget, after this show is over, to go click on her nose, number 1, and on the banner, number 2. And if you're watching this as a recorded version and it's not live at the moment, then you can still do the same thing because those will still be with it. Isn't that beautiful?
Absolutely. You know what? It was like she was moving around and her peacock feathers were flowing, and I looked at what time it was. And I was like, oh my gosh,
what time is it? Oh my gosh, it is that time. Yeah, I'd love to talk just really quickly about the peacock. And my partner and I are both trained shaman, so we're medicine people, and the peacock is the power animal for our site. It represents what we would like to help our messengers become. The peacock is elegant and it's beautiful, and it has an incredibly commanding and magnetic presence. And it's commanding because of its beauty, not because of its ferocity. I know there are plenty of messengers out there who are commanding because they're ferocious, but our desire is to really help people to step into messengerhood and prepare to be heard by millions in an elegant and beautiful and commanding way. So that's our motto, our mascot. The peacock is our mascot, and we want to have everybody ready to shake their tail feathers, you know what I mean, up there and having fun.
I like that.
Doesn't have to be super serious. Let's have some fun. Let's shake our tail feathers. Let's enjoy. Let's, show our colors. Let's show our true colors, our authentic colors. We have two other totems that we're working with in our business, and one is the diamond. So our work is to help people become crystal clear, and the other is the oak. And so it's really about standing powerfully and strongly and having that commanding presence. So the diamond, the oak, and the peacock are the visual and nature spirit devas that are assisting us with this business.
Wow, it sounds very powerful. So one thing that I do want to ask, and I know that it's something that's important when we're talking about messengers, and some of this is becoming more clear to me when we first started looking over the material and what you were going to share. I wasn't quite sure exactly, and I really appreciate how you have kind of chunked it down so that it fits in and it just makes sense. Maybe it's just your presence and how you're sharing it, but it's certainly making a lot more sense to me. And one of the things that I want to ask is, what is the single most important message that you, Amethyst, sent to the universe or sent out there when you were stuck in getting what your own message was, and what it was that you were supposed to do out in the world?
Yeah, that is a big and wonderful question, Kathy. The number one most important thing that I have done again and again and again, and I have seen true messengers who are committed to their message do, is invest. And I have a slide on one of my presentations that the eyes have it. And how I got to where I am is by investing. I have invested in trainings. I have invested in my own personal healing. I have invested my time into creating my business. I have invested into creating my books, my products, my programs, my services. So the number one most important message that I have sent to the universe, when the universe says to me, here's a thing, and my heart says, yes, this is what I would like to do next, invariably the next message from the universe is, okay, well, you've got to invest over here in order to facilitate that happening. So it's really important for messengers to understand that when you step on this path, you will be called again and again and again to invest in your own growth, in the growth of your business, in the growth of your message, in the growth of your skill sets. And when we stop investing, we can't ask other people to invest in us anymore. Mm-hmm. I just don't believe that you can. You can't offer into the world an offer that asks people to invest in themselves through you if you're not willing to invest in yourself through someone else. There's a reason there's all of us here, and we all have unique gifts to share. And I was talking earlier about the shiny object syndrome and the list builders and the marketers and the social media people and all of those things. There's a reason that all of those things are there, right? Because in the whole, when we look at the whole picture, you're going to need to have a lot of things in place in order to have a successful messenger business. The first thing I believe that you need to have in place is you need to have the inner foundations that will allow you to make conscious choice and take decisive, inspired action to invest when spirit puts an opportunity in front of you and says, okay, here's the next step, here's the opportunity, here's the investment. So the single most important message I have sent to the universe is, yes, I'm worth it. My message is worth it. I'm ready to go. Here's, the money doesn't belong to me. I'm really clear on that. Money comes from source, flows through me and my bank account, and it goes back out to source. And when the end of the day comes, when I decide to drop this robe, I will not be taking my cash with me.
Very
I
true.
just won't.
Yeah, I don't think any of us will be taking cash with them.
No.
Right. So, and when I invest, I'm sending that message to the universe that not only am I worth it, not only is my message worth it, but that I trust and have faith in the universe's infinite wisdom and divine design to bring me to where my soul is meant to be next.
Beautiful. It's interesting you bring up the topic of money because there's a question I like to ask that I'm very interested in myself personally. What would you, Amethyst, say are the disconnects in, say, the energy field of a person or an entrepreneurship that would cause someone to be highly spiritually evolved, yet they are still having that bump in the road? They can't get over the income earning, I don't know what to call it, but they're still challenged at all around the whole issue of money in the form of abundant wealth. What is it that they need to do, or that you can help them with, to get them over that hump, to get them mentally past the fact that, like you say, they're worth it, they can make that money, they deserve that money? What kind of things can be done to help an individual get over that, I guess, mindset or stuckness or whatever it is that's causing that not to go forward?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Brian. And I think it actually has, again, a twofold answer. There is mindset for sure, but from my perspective, we can supersede mindset. We can go right to spirit, and we can work with the energetic field of the person. The first thing that I do when I'm working with people around this money piece is I help them to ground. I said there was 3 sacred secret steps, right? That I'm just going to go back to again and again and again. I help them to make that connection with the physical realm. Money's here. We were just talking, when I give up this drop this robe, I'm not taking the money with me. The money is here in the physical world. So if you're not connecting with the physical world, you're not connecting with the frequency, energy of money. If you're not connecting with your physical body, if you're not honoring your physical body, if you're not connecting with nature, if you're not connecting with people, physical people, you are going to have challenges with the money piece. If you're spending all your time in meditation, if you're connecting with your angels all the time, that's great. Our angels, I love my angels. I connect with my angels on a regular basis, and I have a mortgage to pay, right? I definitely need to be grounded in physical, practical reality in order to bring my message through powerfully. So the first thing I work with people on is, are they in their body? Are they grounded? Are they energetically connecting to the earth? The earth is a gigantic magnet. There's a lot of conversation around this law of attraction. Well, the biggest magnet around that I'm aware of is the earth. If you're not connected with that magnet, it's going to be mighty challenging for you to attract anything, because that energy just isn't there in your field. You don't have any magnetism. If you don't have any magnetism, you're going to be challenged at attracting. If you're all electrical energy, you're going to be a spaz. And people are going to think you have great ideas, but oh my God, they're a spaz, right? But if you have that grounded presence, you're feeling rooted like the oak tree. Remember I said the oak tree was one of our totems. You have that rootedness and that solidness, then people are going to take you more seriously. They're going to be naturally more attracted to somebody who doesn't feel like they're all over the place. So the grounding piece for me is the first step energetically. And oftentimes when we're working with somebody around this piece, what comes to the surface is the mental things, the mental chatter, the inner dialogue that is causing people to be out of the body in the first place. And often it's all embedded in fear from childhood, from wounds at the soul level that are keeping you out of the body. When the soul feels fear, it exits the body, and soul parts will disappear and go into the earth. And that's where it's safe. The earth is where our soul parts go when we have a trauma in our lives. So the mindset piece for me comes after making sure that people are grounded, and it is definitely a piece of the equation, because you don't want to be carrying contracts with you that say, for example, money is the root of all evil. If you're carrying that contract with you and you believe at the core of your being that that is the case, then you're going to have an issue with money, and you need to rewrite that contract. But before you even go there, you've got to be in the body. Make sense?
Makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how it's all interconnected, and how much our childhoods affect a lot of how we work and how we respond and interact with others as we become adults. Obviously, that's not always very apparent to us when we're younger. Oftentimes, it's when we're much older that some of these truths and realizations start making sense, particularly when we're involved with and have met people like you, and Brian and I are connected with other individuals as well that talk about the different pieces of the puzzle, if you will, that when put together, and including, and Brian had alluded to the mindset piece of it, that it really starts formulating some things in our mind and in our hearts and our souls and our spirit that tend to change us and lead us into different paths. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We are all born with a divine destiny, and sometimes things happen in our lives that put us off track. And one of my teachers is Dr. Alberto Vialdo in the Four Winds Society, and I was a graduate of the Healing the Light Body School. That was part of my shamanic training. And they talked in the Healing the Light Body School about what's known as the momentum tunnel. So if you start here and your destiny is over here, and you're supposed to be heading towards your destiny, but something throws you off track, just being a little bit off track will send you here instead of over here to where your destiny is. And those traumas that happen in our childhood can send us off that track. And once we get momentum going in the wrong direction, it takes the suspension of time, which is what the shaman does. We stop time and bring in energy that helps get you back onto that path that will lead you to your destiny. Because when you're going, you're just going to keep on going. If you're going down a path, you will keep on going unless something comes along to stop you and realign you and get you back on the path of your destiny. And so for many people, I think, when they have this awakening to become a messenger, it is Spirit's way of saying, stop everything, let's get you on the true path. And when we step into that path, then we are given multiple opportunities at every step, on every level of this path, to make the choice to align ever more fully with our divine destiny. And there's help from people who are trying to do it on their own and need an additional little bit of empowerment, little push. Happy to help with that.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, we are getting so close to the end of our hour here, but I do want to put this piece in because I know you have something to share with us. But you have created a pretty amazing online business, and we understand that you broke six figures last year. That is absolutely phenomenal. So in the few minutes that we have, and then we know you want to share a gift with us, can you kind of share a little bit or little pieces about the journey and what you went through both internally and externally to just like quantum leap to this place that you're at?
I sure can. I'm going to go back to the question that Brian asked earlier. I invested. I definitely invested, and I got the help that I needed to create a business model, to create a structure that would serve my message powerfully. But I also invested the time and the energy in my own inner work. I cannot tell you how much time I have spent doing my own personal inner work. I can't stand here or sit here and say to you that I'm the be-all, know-all guru and I never have any issues, because that would not be the case. And it's my own inner work that even more deeply informs the work that I'm able to do with the messengers that I'm here to work with. So I absolutely had to overcome a lot of stuff. I mean, I went through this whole path myself. You know, I have a message. What's my message? Who wants my message? How do I get it out? Can I get it out? How do I do it for money? How do I start a spiritual business that's aligned with my spirit? You know, business and spirit have not always been married, you know, and so my work really is a business that's founded in my spiritual work. And then how do I make more money so I can serve more people, so that I can actually create more products and connect with millions? You know, how do I prepare to be heard by millions? So I am on this path just like everyone else is, and I'm just maybe a few steps down the road, and here to share my perspective, you know, shine the flashlight back down the path and say, okay, these were the steps that I took. So that's how I did it. You know, I'm always honing my spirit like a knife, or what is that? The Marine Corps has the thing that they're honing the sword, right? They hone and hone until it's really sharp. So for me, I'm always honing my spirit. I'm peeling away more layers so that I can be more of who I came to be.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I've got to say, because we have come to the end of the hour, it has been so exciting having you on again with us. And thank you for sharing your clarity, your gift, and talking about what you offer for those who are messengers out there. So I would say, from what we've learned today, if you've listened to this, then you know if you're a messenger, and you know if you're feeling the energy to connect with Amethyst. And I know that you wanted to share a gift with our viewers.
Yeah, we actually have set up a special page at theempoweredmessenger.com/gifts, GIFTS. And on our gifts page, we have 3 gifts for you. The first is an opportunity to subscribe to our e-zine, The Empowered Edge, which is filled with all kinds of tips about being a messenger, about speaking, about writing books, about the energy stuff, all of those things. And we send that out at least monthly, and we're now talking about maybe doing that twice a month. The second thing that we have on the site, on the gifts page at theempoweredmessenger.com/gifts, is a downloadable audio. I think what we have on there right now is Let's Talk About Money, the 5 sacred acts for coming into right relationship with money, but it could be something else because we change that out periodically. And then the third thing we have on there is for those of you who do resonate, who really feel like you're a messenger, and you might have a question about crystallizing your message right now to get it so clear that you're able to express it in a way that people will connect with you. We would love to have you apply for a strategic empowerment evaluation, and we call that a C appointment, and we see where you are on your messenger path. we see where you're going, and we see if there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, and if we can serve you into bridging that gap. So those are our 3 free gifts that we have for folks. That C appointment is a complimentary appointment, but we do ask that, there's only so much time that we have. We all have our 24 hours. We ask that only the people who are really serious about moving forward and investing in themselves and investing in their message take advantage of filling out that magic form and applying for that. Okay?
Wow. 3 gifts. Not just 1, but 3. Fantastic. And the one-on-one evaluation appointment is probably worth more than the other 2 combined, I would imagine, because there is no substitute for one-on-one working with mentors in any genre or realm that Kathy and I have been in. We've been taught by mentors ourselves and cannot put a dollar figure on the value. So definitely take advantage of that. And again, like she said, if you're serious about it, don't just go on and a freebie, I'm going to go waste somebody's time. Be respectful and go on and actually partake in what.
And we're not going to take
offering.
everyone. I'm going to tell you that right now. We have a form for a reason, because we want to work with people who are serious.
Excellent.
I'm investing my life force. My partner's investing his life force. We are here to work with people who are serious about bringing their message out to the world and preparing to be heard by millions.
Fair enough.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Kathy, this has been a wonderful show, huh?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, like every week, the time just flies by.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing yourself, your gifts, and your message with our viewers tonight, and with Brian and I, and just opening us up to some different things to look at and think about, and sharing all the fantastic gifts that you've shared with our viewers as well. I'm going to give you a big kiss. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Brian, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
And if you want to get...
Thank you for having me.
You bet. If you want to get grounded, bounded, and sounded, you visit Amethyst and go to her website, theempoweredmessenger.com. You see the banner beneath us, but put /gifts at the end of that and receive her 3 gifts. Very, very nice of you, Amethyst. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. And for the rest of you out there, come back next week. We have another amazing show lined up, but that's next week. For now, we'd like to respect everyone's time. We thank you once again for viewing. We'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye now.
Good night, everybody.